Hey everybody, it's Mike. I am back on a hot day. Whew, it is hot, and I have no air conditioning. I have no air conditioning. The studio is not completed yet, so I'm using fans blowing on me. I'm sweaty. It's hot, and I'm going to be talking about Prabhupada, his love of Hitler, and the cognitive dissonance that these Hare Krishnas have to have. Including this one devotee who's a Holocaust historian, and we're going to take a look at that. So we're going to look at what Prabhupada quotes, his conversations, what he says about Hitler, and then this other guy who is a Prabhupada disciple and a Holocaust documentarian. Okay, if that makes sense. So here we go. Here we go.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, so thanks for watching the opening. It's incredible. Okay, hey, I want to thank everybody that's here. Now we got Red. Hey, Red, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining in. We got Trey Martin Watts. Thanks for coming back, man. I really appreciate it. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Okay, so I've done shows before. I've talked about Prabhupada and Hitler and the racism, and but I was going to do a different show about a completely different subject today, and I was kind of cruising around looking for stuff, and this shit popped out at me. I don't know how. I don't even know how. But once I saw it, I was like, wait a minute. Let me talk about this instead. So I had to do the old switcheroo because I wanted to get this out of the way, because I'd actually been looking for this for a while, and it was just too much work for me. I'm kind of lazy. So once I found this, I was like, okay, so here it is. Let me just get this out of the way. So first, we're going to go to Prabhupada's books. So this is in the, what book is this? Is the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 11th chapter, 19th verse, purport. And just so you can see, here it is. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, verse 11, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 11, verse 19. He's talking about my dear Dhruva, personality of Godhead is ever existing. He's the killer of everything. He has no beginning, although he is the beginning of everything. He is never exhaustible, blah, blah, blah. He is the agency of death, and he goes on and on. Okay, so in the purport, he says, Prabhupada says, the supreme authority and inconceivable power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be minutely studied from this verse. He is always unlimited. That means he has no creation or end. He is, however, death in the form of time. Okay. As described in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am death. I take away everything at the end of life. So Prabhupada says down here in the second paragraph, Prabhupada says, As an example can help us to understand the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord. In the recent history of warfare, the Supreme Personality of God had created a Hitler, and before that, a Napoleon Bonaparte, and they each killed many living entities in war. But in the end, Bonaparte and Hitler were also killed. People are still very much interested in writing and reading books about Hitler and Bonaparte and how they killed so many people in war. Year after year, many books are published for public reading regarding Hitler's killing thousands of Jews in confinement. But no one is researching who killed Hitler and who created such a gigantic killer of human beings. So when Prabhupada wrote this, he obviously knew that the entire world, pretty much the entire world, is in agreement that Hitler killed 6 million Jews in concentration camps, Auschwitz, Dachau, Belgian, whatever, all these places. Right? There's no question about that. It's really not up for debate. That's history. That's what happened. We can debate it if you want to debate Nazism or whatever. I mean, that's, but that happened, and Prabhupada knew that happened, and Prabhupada knew that Hitler killed more than thousands of Jews in confinement. Regarding Hitler's killing of thousands of Jews in confinement. So you go, well, okay, well, maybe Prabhupada's just, that's just his way of saying that. That's not just his way. I don't know how you can excuse that, for him putting that in his books. It's like right in his books. But if we go to his conversations and see what he says, we can do that. And so if we go to this conversation, this is, what does it say here? I don't want to get lost. Some of these conversations. November 20th, 1975. So here they're talking. It doesn't matter what they're talking about. Prabhupada's trying to be a philosopher. They get to where he's talking about the atom bomb. So one character, this Dr. Patel is saying to Prabhupada, Dr. Patel, they smuggled away the secret of atom bomb from America. Prabhupada, the Germans. Dr. Patel, no, the Russians smuggled away. He's correcting Prabhupada. No, the Russians smuggled away. Germans came to America taking that. Prabhupada, they understood from the Germans. So Prabhupada's correcting him. They understood from the Germans. Dr. Patel, yes, sir, but it is said that the German scientists ran away to America because they were afraid of Hitler. If Hitler gets the secret of atom, he would bomb out the whole world. Prabhupada, no, Hitler knew it. Dr. Patel, no, but they were not able to be successful. To Prabhupada, no, he knew it. Everything. But he did not like to do it. He said, he was gentleman. But these people are not gentlemen. So Hitler was the gentleman, and we're not. Hey Tim, how you doing? Good to see you here. So Prabhupada is saying he was a gentleman, but these people are not gentlemen. He knew it perfectly well. He said, I can smash the whole world, but I do not use that weapon. I don't know when Hitler ever said that. The Germans already discovered, but out of humanity, so Hitler had humanity. Out of humanity, they did not use it. And all your American, other countries, they have stolen from German ideas. So, I don't know if he says anything more about Hitler in this conversation. It's very long. It goes on and on. We move on to another conversation that he has where Prabhupada explains. So Prabhupada's having a conversation, and Prabhupada says, they're talking about something, and the Prabhupada says, in nice to catch you live. Nice to catch you live. Glad you're here. What's this website where you get all the Hare Krishna scandal news from? Well, there's a few. There's Paranjan's webpage, Krishna 1008 blogspot or whatever it is. There's a lot of crazy insanity there. You can go look there. And then if you just type in ISKCON in Google, I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot. You can just type in Google, or you can go to Google and just type in ISKCON child abuse, or ISKCON news, or ISKCON controversy, and then hit the enter button, and all this shit will pop up. It just all pops up. I mean, it's not a secret all this stuff. Right now, I'm reading from Hare Krishna database. This is their webpage. This is their webpage. This is Vedabase.com. This page is run by ISKCON. ISKCON's proud of this shit. Prabhupada says, in Calcutta there is a lake like this. Vedanta, you know that? But because they are animal eaters, we don't care for it. We don't give them any credit. Devotee, number 3. It's hypocritical. Prabhupada, yes, any religion eating meat, it is immediately should be rejected. Devotee number 3, that's for all. Devotee number 1, Adolf Hitler was a vegetarian. Prabhupada, Devotee, Adolf Hitler was vegetarian. Who? Prabhupada, who? Devotee number 1, Adolf Hitler. Sarup Damodar, Hitler. Prabhupada, he was a good man. Devotee number 1, oh? Prabhupada, therefore, he did not drop the atomic bomb. Devotee number 1, yes, I agree. Prabhupada, your Truman dropped. Devotee number 1, not my Truman. Yes, your Truman, Prabhupada. Yes, your Truman, your Truman, your president. Devotee number 1, I'm not American. Prabhupada, he hesitated. Therefore, I don't believe that he killed so many Jews in concentration camps. So I'll read that again. Let me show you what it is. Prabhupada says right here. He hesitated. Therefore, I don't believe that he killed so many Jews in concentration camps. Devotee 1. But actually Hitler, he was trying to invent the atom bomb. The Americans invented it before. The Americans invented it before the Nazis did. Prabhupada. No. The Americans stole it. Sarup Damodar. The Germans invented the atomic. The Germans first. Devotee 1. They had the plan, but they could not invent it. Prabhupada. No. What they dropped in Japan, that was German taken. And then the devotee number 1 says, nevertheless, Hitler did. He bombed London. Prabhupada, no, he must bomb. If there is war, then it is war. If there is war, I shall bomb you. Devotee 1, so war is good? Prabhupada, yes, why not? So there's your holy man. There's your holy man right there. He's glorifying Hitler. He denies the Holocaust. He says, I don't believe Hitler killed so many Jews in concentration camps. Hitler was a gentleman. He was a good man. He bombed London, but he had to bomb London. It was a war. What did you want him to do? Prabhupada saying war is good. Prabhupada liked that Hitler was bombing London because the British were in India. I mean, I understand that they wanted to be free from the British, but he can't understand Hitler? He doesn't understand Hitler? Prabhupada doesn't understand Hitler? That's his defect? We know most of the news through our own bona fide sources. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of devotees know stuff that I'm talking about. This is for you that's in the Hare Krishnas that never heard this shit before. This is for all you in there that's never heard this before. You don't know. You could be in there 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And you don't know that this guy that you're worshiping, this Prabhupada that you're laying down in front of every day, throwing flowers at his feet and offering him incense and shit, the fucking Holocaust denier. Didn't give a shit that Hitler killed 6 million Jews. He didn't give a shit that Hitler was bombing London. If there was any question as to whose side of World War II Prabhupada was on, we know exactly whose side he was on. He was on Hitler's side. He thought Hitler was a great man. He was a good man. He didn't drop the atom bomb. The fuck, where does he get the idea that Hitler had the atom bomb, and didn't drop it and didn't use it? You know good and well, if Hitler had the bomb, he would have dropped it. And he probably would have dropped it on India. You think Hitler hated everybody but Indians? Indians he liked the Indians. What are you, fucking out of your mind? I don't understand. You had the Japanese and the Nazis trying to take over the world, practically invading India already. The Japanese were trying to get there to fight the British that were in India. What do you think the Japanese were going to do when they got to India? What do you think the Nazis were going to do when they got to India? They were going to be like, oh, let's leave the Indians alone. I don't know what this idiot was thinking. I don't know what this idiot was thinking. Hey, Howard Johnson, man, I'm glad to see you here. It's really it makes these things really great when I see people coming in, returning, man. It's like, I can't tell you. He was a Jew abuser. He only used his Jew disciples, always undermining his Jew disciples. He could control them by berating them. Yeah, he pulled his shit on them. It's part of the, I'm the guru, and it was these loyalty tests to see, Oh, it was anti-Semitic. Sure sounds like it to me. I mean, there's other places where he said that the Jews were the problem in World War II. Mental Inc. Retards are us. Absolutely. Back at it again, more of it. And then we got, hey Glenn. Whoops. Hey Hey, Glenn, man, great to see you here. Man, this is great. It's like a whole community here. So, so he's talking about. He goes on. He mentions Hitler. He just says they're vegetarian, not cowards. Hanuman is vegetarian. He set fire in Ravana's kingdom. So he's saying, just because you're vegetarian doesn't mean you can't be ruthless. You can't be ruthless and violent just because you're a vegetarian. That's basically what he's saying. In the rest of the conversation. So there's other places. There's other places where Prabhupada talks about Hitler, pretty much in the same. It's the same thing over and over. He doesn't. He mentions it a few more times. So it's pretty obvious what Prabhupada thinks, what he believes. It's hard to tell what's in his head, whether he's just twisting history, denying history, if he just has this hatred for Jews, or this love of Hitler, or I don't know what is motivating this, the whole thing. Maybe it's a combination of all of that. I have no idea. And I don't even need to know. I don't need to know. But it's pretty obvious through what I just shared with you and other places. It's pretty obvious what he thinks and how he feels. And it's even in his books. Like he says, it's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, text, chapter 11, text 17, purport, where Prabhupada says, Hitler's killing thousands of Jews in confinement. Now, it's just conspicuous the way he says that. It's like, who says that? So it's pretty obvious. Even if you haven't read the conversations or anything, you get to that part. You go, hey, what, thousands of Jews in confinement. But usually by the fourth canto, you're pretty much in. So, I don't know how these people can. Well, let's take a look at one. Let's take a look at one. Let me find this guy. Where's this guy at? So, this. I can't believe This is why I'm doing this show, because I came across this. One thing led to another, and so it was like a rabbit hole. It was like a rabbit hole that came up with the Hitler and the Holocaust denial. And then I came across this guy. Now, this guy's name is Joshua M. Green. And this little article is called "In Depth with Holocaust Scholar, Filmaker, and Author Joshua M. Green." So, who's Joshua M. Green, right? You're like, well, who's that? So let's see. The first thing he says is, this guy interviewing him says, how does someone become drawn to write about the Holocaust? It's not easy research. What in your soul attracts you to that period of life? And Joshua M. Green says, there's different levels of answering that question. The first level is that I was teaching philosophy in yoga studios for many years. My background is the devotional culture of India called Bhakti. So he doesn't say, I'm a Hare Krishna, or I'm in ISKCON, or I'm a member of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. No. He says, I was teaching philosophy in yoga studios for many years, and my background is devotional yoga culture of India called Bhakti. Okay, so then he says, which is really not an answer, because it doesn't answer the question. At least that part doesn't. And then he says, my grandmother from Poland was only one of two who survived in her family of about 20, but it wasn't part of my upbringing. I didn't think about it that much, and we didn't talk about it ever, so I didn't really have an answer to that question either. So his grandmother was only two of her family that survived the Holocaust. His grandmother. He says, my wife's late father, Alan Fortunoff, endowed the Yale University Holocaust Video Archive. He asked me back in the late 90s if I'd help them with some work they needed. I had a background in film, and that kind of got me started. I discovered that video testimony is an important balance to paper documentation. It is said that papers don't bleed. The video testimony of survivors is the most effective, the most powerful way of bringing those of us who were not there inside the experience of those who were, and it can be transformative. So he's question. You have this deep spiritual piece of your DNA, of your soul, and when somebody asks you a question about yourself, you didn't have the answer. You could have easily said, I don't know. I'm Jewish and I have family that were Holocaust survivors, so this is very near and dear to my heart. What drove you to continually chisel away at this answer? He says, he says, my good fortune was to have been raised by a mother who was a very progressive thinker. Someone who was, you might say, liberated before that was chic. He goes on, he says some more. He says, yet the history of the world is really quite different. It's not a history of compassion in particular. The Holocaust is a failure of the human condition. Because I had always been encouraged to think big and to dig deep, it puzzled me. I didn't know what to make of that, and I think in some indirect way it might have led me at the age of 19, moving into a Hindu ashram and living 13 years in a kind of monastic environment, which really set me up on a course for the rest of my life. So again, he doesn't say I moved into a Hare Krishna temple at 19. I became a Hare Krishna at 19. I shaved my head and put on the thing, and I was out on the street going chingity ching ching and selling books at the airport. He doesn't want you to know that he was doing that. He just doesn't want you to know that. Instead, he says, I moved into a Hindu ashram, which makes it sound like he was up in the mountains somewhere in some Dalai Lama type thing, banging a gong and ringing a bell or whatever. Living 13 years in a kind of monastic environment. No, he spent 13 years living in a Hare Krishna temple, going out every day selling books, doing Harinam, whatever he was doing. Why didn't he say that? Why didn't he tell the truth? Then he says, in fact, George Harrison and I studied with the same yoga teacher, and I wrote a biography of George as a thank you for his encouragement. That was a big part of my early life. So he's making it sound like they went and studied with Prabhupada together in I don't know, like they had regular. That's not what happened. Like they were in class together doing yoga, meditation, or whatever, He may have met George Harrison at some time in London when he was in London and they were recording the thing because this guy sang. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. So then he goes on about his mom and I don't know what's going on with this stuff. He says, so the next question. So how's a Jewish kid from the Bronx end up with such intense, in-depth spiritualness like you have? Where did that begin? Answer, well, if I were going to be cute about it, I'd say many lives back. There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita that says those who pursue their yoga practice, their spiritual discipline to a particular point in one lifetime, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I love your little things. It's such a great could see Hitler reference at Shiver. Is that right? Or maybe it's been changed. Couldn't see the Hitler reference. And let me show it to you, okay? Oops, where is it? So if you go to Srimad Bhagavatam 4.11.19 on the Veda base, so nanto nata kraha kalo nadir adi krid avyaha janam janana janayam marayam rityam nantakam. Translation: My dear Dhruva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is ever existing, but in the form of time, he is the killer of everything. He has no beginning, although he is the beginning of everything, nor is he ever exhaustible, although everything is exhausted in due course of time. The living entities are created through the agency of the Father and killed through the agency of death, but he is perpetually free of birth and death. Purport by his divine piece of shit Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupraud. Paragraph 2. An example can help us to understand the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord. In the recent history of warfare, the Supreme Personality of Godhead created a Hitler and before that a Napoleon Bonaparte, and they each killed many living entities in war. But in the end, Bonaparte and Hitler were also killed. People are still very much interested in writing and reading books about Hitler and Bonaparte and how they killed so many people in war. Year after year, many books are published for public reading regarding Hitler's killing thousands of Jews in confinement. But no one is researching who killed Hitler and who created such a gigantic killer of human beings. The devotees of the Lord are not much interested in the study of the flickering history of the world. Obviously, the pure devotee is not interested in knowing the actual history of the world, which he states right there. They are interested only in him who is the original creator, maintainer, and annihilator. That is the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. Yeah, hey, it's my pleasure, man. I see it now. I was looking at 17, not 19. Oh, did I get it wrong? I don't know. I thought... did I get it wrong? I thought I got it right. Is it 19 and not 17? Oh, it's 19. I thought it was 17. My mistake. I probably started at 17 and then worked my way up, and so 17 got stuck in my head. But now I want to show you, where do we find this guy at? Here he is. So this guy, this guy, his name is Yogeshwar. This Joshua Green is this Yogeshwar. He's a Hare Krishna scholar and an author, and it says here on this YouTube channel page that where he's on, it's not his page. It says Yogeshwar was initiated by Srila Prabhupada in 1970 in London, where he recorded with the London Temple on George Harrison's Radha Krishna Temple album. Yogeshwar received Brahminical initiation in 1972, and during 13 years of temple life, he traveled with Srila Prabhupada across Europe as his French language translator, served as temple president in Paris, and later in Philadelphia, director of ISKCON's French publishing office, editor of Back to Godhead magazine, and founder of Bala Books, children's publishing office. They have the nerve to have a publishing company for children's books. That's where, it's just upside down land. Currently, he serves as a mediator for ISKCON Resolve. Green earned his master's degree in religious studies at Hofstra University, where he taught Holocaust studies. This guy teaches Holocaust studies and Hinduism. He taught it from 2003 to 2013 for 10 years. His devotional writings include Here Come the Sun, The Spiritual and Musical Journey of George Harrison, Gita Wisdom, an introduction to India's essential yoga text, and Swami in a Strange Land, How Krishna Came to the West, an ISKCON authorized biography of Srila Prabhupada. He's also a documentary filmmaker whose films about Holocaust history are seen on PBS and Discovery. His biographies of Holocaust survivors have sold more than 1.5 million copies. I want you to get a look at this guy. This is Mr. Joshua Green. This is Yogeshwar Joshua Green. How is that even possible? That this guy could be his grandmother was only two that survived in her family in the Holocaust in Poland. This guy's grandmother escaped the Holocaust. She was only two of her family of 20 that survived the Holocaust. This guy has a degree in Holocaust studies. He makes documentaries about the Holocaust. He teaches classes in universities about Holocaust. And yet his guru said all that shit about Hitler. His guru, who he thinks is a pure devotee, whose every word is nectar dripping from the lips of the pure devotee, who has 3 visions, you can see past, present, and future, who can look into your soul and know your perfect, who you really are, and your service and all of this crap, who comes down from the spiritual world, from Vaikuntha Loka, to save the conditioned souls and give them Krishna Prema, who was 22 when he had sex with his 11-year-old wife, who says the Holocaust never happened, who says he doesn't believe, he thinks Hitler was a good guy. He was a gentleman. He would never kill all those people. He had the atomic bomb and he didn't want to drop it. What the fuck, man? Who the fuck is this guy? Laughing and smiling and joking around? His grandmother's turning over in her grave. She barely escaped with her life. And this guy's bowing down and worshiping and throwing flowers at the feet of a guy who says that, well, that shit never happened. It should never happen. Hitler was a good guy. He would never do that. Hitler was a humanitarian. He was a vegetarian. He had dogs. What the fuck is wrong with these people, man? And of course, this guy, this guy who's debating him, he doesn't know. He doesn't know that he doesn't know this. He doesn't know what we know. He doesn't know that his grandmother was the only of 2 people in her family that escaped the Holocaust. This guy is a disciple of a Holocaust denier. He's a disciple of a How do you split your brain in half and become a Holocaust historian and then get up in the morning and worship a Holocaust denier while your grandmother was one of only 2 people in her family who escaped the fucking Holocaust? Are you going to tell me this cult ain't causing mental illness? How is that not mental illness? He's making documentaries and teaching people about the Holocaust while he's worshiping a friggin' Holocaust denier as his Lord and Savior guru that's going to take him back to Godhead while a demon head eats the fucking moon. The insanity doesn't stop with these people. Do you trust them with your kids when they fucking $400 million lawsuit and gurus falling down with their disciples having sex and all of this stuff? And this insanity too? This guy, is there any wonder why they can't take care of their kids and they smack their wives around? When you got guys like this, who he can't figure out whether his guru is a pure devotee and he denies the Holocaust, or whether his grandmother escaped it. Did it really happen? Or is my guru correct? Or is it no? He can make money worshiping his guru who had sex with an 11-year-old girl when he was 22 and says Hitler was a good guy. He can make money doing that as an ISKCON Hare Krishna fake scammer. And he can make money as a Holocaust friggin' historian. That's why he doesn't put in his friggin' LinkedIn bio or tell anybody when he's going on an interview. If you want to talk about the Holocaust, I'm just a yoga guy, and hey, I'm just a yoga guy, and I studied some Hinduism when I was 19. I ain't gonna tell you I was a Hare Krishna. But if you want to talk about Krishna, I'm going to tell you my name is Yogeshwar, and I was initiated in 1969 by Prabhupada, and I helped George Harrison record his Hare Krishna album in London. And then I went on to be temple president in Paris, and then I went on to be this and that in the Hare Krishna movement. But it's one or the other. I'm not both people at the same time, because my head would explode. Because that would mean I'd be denying the Holocaust I'd have to deny the Holocaust, and then I'd have to also document the history of it at the same time. And I don't know how I could fucking do that. I got to become two people. I got to be Joshua Green, the Holocaust historian, and then if you want to talk about Hare Krishna, I'll be Yogeshwar. And we'll talk about truth and honesty and satyam and the four regulative principles and the holy name and the power and all that other bullshit. If this isn't a perfect example of the bullshit of this cult, I don't know what the fuck is. He's just as much a scammer as the gurus are. He figured out a better way to scam.
So Arjuna, is this kind of introduction you wanted? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, just trying to cover a lot of ground there. See if I can simplify it this time. I'll wait your cue.
Oh yeah, go now. Yeah, so it's all sorted. It's just one little button I had to click.
Well, my name is Joshua Green. My initiated name in the Krishna tradition is Yogeshwara Das. I spent 13 years in Krishna or Vaishnava ashrams. The technical word is Vaishnava. And then came back to New York and finished my graduate degrees in religious studies and philosophy with a focus on the Holocaust period, which was an interesting contrast. I mean, Krishna tradition is a very bright, positive view of a purposeful creation. And how...
Wait, I thought, didn't the other lady say that material life is a big pussy boil that needs to be lanced? And now he's trying to tell this guy that the Hare Krishna vision of life is beautiful and nice and wonderful?
That prompted me to move into one of the darkest regions of human history. Is still a bit of a mystery to me. So I'm 72 now, so the jokes are just getting worse by the day. And where I find myself most...
So this guy doesn't know, this Matt Delaney, whatever his name is, I like him, he's a smart guy. He doesn't know that this guy is a Holocaust denier. He doesn't know that his guru is a Holocaust denier. Because, believe me, if I was there, that would be the first thing I'd say. I'd say, well, how is the head of your religion, your cult, a Holocaust denier? And then I would read all of these quotes to him. about, oh, he's a good man and he didn't kill all these Jews. And it says in the Bhagavatam that, it was just 1,000 in confinement. He doesn't talk about concentration camps. He says, I don't believe he killed all those people in the concentration camps. And he says war is good. Who says war is bad? Why is war bad? War can be good. So this guy, he doesn't know. He doesn't know this. He was going to have a debate with him, but he doesn't know this stuff about it. I would ask him right off the bat. I would be like, wait a minute, you're a Holocaust. You have a degree in Holocaust studies, and you worship, because he doesn't know what a guru. He doesn't know all the ins and outs of guru worship and pure devotee and the qualifications of the spiritual master, and how the spiritual master is coming down from the spiritual world to liberate the conditioned souls, and how he can see past, present, and future, and all this other stuff. He coming in a line of disciplic succession that goes all the way back to Lord Brahma, including the spaceman that flies between planets playing a guitar. If he knew that, he probably wouldn't even be having a discussion with him. He'd be like, what am I going to talk to you about? So you sit there and pretend like I'm not a Hare Krishna. I'm a, well, I was in a Krishna temple, but it's called Vaishnav. It's actually Vaishnav tradition, because he doesn't want you. He doesn't want you to think he was Hare Krishna. He doesn't want that. I studied yoga. I was studying in a yoga center with George Harrison. He doesn't want to say I joined a Hindu ashram. He doesn't want to say I joined a Hare Krishna temple and I spent 13 years riding around in a bus, traveling across country with Tamal Krishna and Vishnu John. And that's probably what he was doing. If he joined in 69. I mean, Prabhupada exceeded the threshold of delusion of grandiose syndrome, denying the Holocaust. We need to make these news. They know it. They don't care. It's a cult, and they don't care. They don't care. The thing is that we can warn people, all you people out there that are in the cult, and you didn't know. You're like, what? Prabhupada, what? Yeah. And you can go, and look, not only can you go and read this conversation, you can hear him talk.
Morning walk, October 8, Berkeley. All these voters and nonsense, they are also voters.
You can hear him talk.
What is Dr. Barnhart? Vidhimahendra Adishakitaya. Purely Krishna conscious person. He doesn't care even for Lord Brahma, the king of heaven, Indra. What this Dr. Barnhart is. Why don't we go into a great...
So, all this stuff is right online. It's right there. How does someone who's been in it for 45 years, how does someone who's been in the Hare Krishna since 1969, he's a Holocaust scholar, how does he not know that his own guru is a Holocaust denier? How does he not know that? How does he live with himself? He doesn't give a fuck. It's a bunch of BS, bullshit. To him, it's just a scam. It's like Amway. Like Amway or any other multi-level marketing, whatever. He's just in it for whatever he can get out of it. He doesn't give a shit. It's a big fucking scam. If he gave a shit about the Holocaust and he cared about his grandmother and the survivors and documenting history and finding out that all these things that he bullshits his way through talking about that, he wouldn't have anything to do with Prabhupada. Prabhupada would be in his documentary going, here's a fucking Holocaust denier. Look at this guy. It's crazy. Purposeful gibberish, Maya. You know, it's yeah. What did he say?
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
God, Brother Prabhupada did visit Nazi Germany before World War II. Have seen a photo of that. Yeah. Look, you supported Hitler during World War II. You thought Hitler was going to win and he was going to liberate India. Okay? That's okay. You made a mistake. But no, pure devotee can't make a mistake. Come on, Prabhupada. You thought Hitler was going to win. Because for a while there, it looked like he might win. So you thought Hitler was going to win. And when Hitler didn't win, you were bummed out. You still had to deal with the British. You thought the Japanese and the Nazis were going to come in and they were going to liberate India from the British. You fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. Common ground, maybe the area. Yeah, I think Prabhupada is deluded in that idea that Hitler was going to be nice to the Indians. Come on. That makes me fucking laugh like fucking A, man. This is the biggest eye-opening fact to realize that this man was a fraud in every sense. The fool on the video obviously did not read into his guru. What a loser. No, I think that he did read into it. I think he knows. He knows. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He went to college. This guy's a friggin', I don't know what he is. What is he? He's some kind of a professor or something? Some kind of a oh, that's not it. I guess I lost him. What does it say about him here on this thing? It says he was initiated in 1970. So that's like 50. So is that like 50 something years ago? 55 years ago? He's been a Hare Krishna for 55 years. What's he been doing for 55 years? He hasn't read the books. He's never read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 11, Text 19. He hasn't done that. He's probably read that many times. He doesn't know. He's never read the Conversations books. Shit, he probably recorded some of those conversations. He's probably in the Conversations books having a conversation with Prabhupada. He was on he helped George Harrison record the Hare Krishna Temple album. Yogeshwar received Brahminical initiation in 1972. During 13 years of temple life, he traveled with Srila Prabhupada across Europe as his French language translator. He traveled with Prabhupada for 13 years. He probably heard shit that Prabhupada said that was not recorded. When Prabhupada was just walking around in his room, chanting, bitching about this, bitching about that, just like Tamal Krishna, just like I heard Tamal Krishna when I was unfortunate enough to have dinner, and I'm sitting there and he's having a conversation with Nrsingananda. He wasn't having a conversation with me. He was having a conversation with Nrsingananda and Abhiram. I just happened to be there. I just happened to hear it. And I don't even know what they were talking about. He was just bitching about everything. Oh, I got to do this and I got to do that. And oh, this so-and-so is at the GBC and this. And all I heard was him bitching and crying like a fucking little fucking bitch. And if I had paid attention and I had taken notes, and I probably would have, I could be sitting here right now saying, yeah, Tamal Krishna said, you know, this, that, and the other, and then he said this, and then he said that. But I wasn't paying attention, so I don't know what he said. But this guy, for 13 years, he was traveling around with Prabhupada. You heard Prabhupada, when Prabhupada stubbed his toe and was like, oh, acha, whatever. He heard Prabhupada fucking blowing snot rockets out of his nose and whatever he was doing. All these guys were. Brahmananda, Yashodananda, Tamal Krishna. They heard Prabhupada when he wasn't being recorded. They heard him when he was talking off the cuff or just whatever. Why is my prasadam cold? Can't you, what are you idiots, can't cook? Well, you can't cook, right? What's wrong with this sweet rice? Why does it taste like this? Who put salt in the sweet rice? Whatever. Just like Yashoda had that story about Prabhupada picking up the paperweight and chucking it at him. And he had to duck and get out of the way. And I'm like, whoa. Are you serious? He's like, yeah, you know, if that thing would have hit me, you know, I would have been in the hospital or something. And Prabhupada's an old man, but, you know, he really threw that paperweight. He really chucked that. You know, I'm just like, whoa. So there are a lot of stories that, you know, who knows what this guy heard traveling with Prabhupada for 13 years. He heard enough that he wrote an ISKCON authorized biography of Srila Prabhupada. He wrote in Gita Wisdom, an introduction to India's essential yoga text. This guy's no flunky. He's been around. He knows what he's doing. You don't know what Prabhupada said about Hitler? How do you not know? How do you not know? I understand if you joined and you've been in for 4 years and you don't know. How did he not know? I know. If I know, how does he not know? Prabhupada was in Calcutta when the Japanese bombed. If I remember correctly, he bragged about not evacuating and supported the expert. Yeah, he bragged about how he sat and he chanted and he didn't go and while the bombs were falling and he didn't leave his deities or whatever. Oh, fucking bullshit. Bullshit, man. You gotta do nothing but everything's a magical mystery tour, so you gotta remember that. Anything that can add to the magical mystery tour gets thrown in. It was bombing, the bomb landed right over there, but, you know, Radhamadava, you know, saved me because we were right there. I was right in the temple, you know, the Maulik's house, the Maulik's temple, the Radhamadava temple right there at the Maulik's place. And the bombs were falling. The bomb fell across the street. I had a heart attack, and, you know, but I was saved by Lord Nrsingadev. You know, fuck. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Krishna saved the guy that believed that Hitler was a good guy. That's the guy that. So Prabhupada in his Holocaust denial and hating the Jews and all of it, and hating women and all this stuff. When Prabhupada was traveling across the ocean on a freighter, and he had a heart attack, Krishna saved him. Krishna decided, I'm going to save the Holocaust denying, woman hating, pedophiles had sex with an 11-year-old. I'm going to save that guy. If the Japanese would have invaded India, they would have made Nanking look like. That was the last thing that India wanted, was the Japanese invading invading India. They were already going through Thailand, going through Burma. They were right next door, and they were building that railway so they could get their shit in there. If they would have completed that railroad and been able to get in there into Bengal or wherever, the road to Mandalay, and then on into Dhaka, or wherever it is that they were, my geography right now is kind of shaky, but it would have been all over. The Japanese were. It would have been horrible. Prabhupada called a disciple a white N-word because he put salt and pepper on the table rather than in little bowls. I never heard that, but I don't doubt it. I'm not surprised. Probably called a disciple a white N-word because he put salt and pepper on the table rather than in little bowls. I don't get it I mean, I understand what you're saying. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what's going on. So that's this guy with his this, and this is an example of a lot of things. This is an example of like 3 or 4 different mental conditions, I guess, maybe. It shows how they want to live 2 lives. He actually said here, my initiated name, my name is Joshua Green. My initiated name is this, because they're going to talk about religion. So he came clean with that, but in the professional world, he wants to keep those 2 things separate. He wants to keep, he's Joshua Green when he's talking about. He's Joshua Green when he's when he wants to tell you about how he's got a master's degree in religious studies from Hofstra University, and he wants to be Joshua Green when he tells you that he taught Holocaust studies and Hinduism from 2003 to 2013. He wants to be Joshua Green, probably on a lot of his books that he writes. He wants to be Joshua Green. But when he's in the temple and he's doing part of, it's kind of like when he's, what does it say he is? When he wants to tell you that he traveled with Srila Prabhupada, he wasn't Joshua Green when he was traveling with Prabhupada. He was Yogeshwar. And when he was serving as the temple president in Paris, and then later in Philadelphia, he wasn't Joshua Green doing that. That was Yogeshwar doing that. And when he was the director of ISKCON's French publishing office, he was Yogeshwar. And when he was editor of the Back to Godhead magazine, he was Yogeshwar. And when he founded the Bala Books Children's Publishing Office, that was Yogeshwar's too. And when he serves as the mediator for ISKCON Resolve, that's Yogeshwar. But when he's on LinkedIn and he's doing an interview about the Holocaust and his Holocaust studies and his Holocaust documentaries, then he's Joshua Green. Joshua Green from with a master's degree from Hofstra University. So that's these people. That's one symptom. Then he wants to be, he wants to be this expert at. He wants to come across as he's an expert. He's got these degrees. It's like, I'm a Hare Krishna, but I also have degrees in studies, religious studies, and all of this, and Hinduism and all these things. So I must know what I'm talking about. I'm not just some crazy cult member. No, you are. You're a crazy cult member. Anybody can be a cult member. Anybody can be a cult member. Tom Cruise can be a cult member. John Travolta can be a cult member. Anybody can join a cult. George Harrison can join a cult. A lot of people join. Just because you're a professor doesn't mean you're immune from joining a cult. And just because you're in a cult doesn't mean you're not going to go to college and try to get yourself a degree, because that's what Prabhupada wanted. Prabhupada didn't tell his disciples, you can go to college and get a degree and then give up Hare Krishna. No, it was get a degree so that you'll be respected, and then you can go preach. It's like a scam artist. It's like a carnival barker going to community college and getting a degree in something, and then going back to carnival barking and going, hey, step right up. But don't worry, I got a degree in sociology and business. So this can't possibly be a scam because I have a degree in business. Would a guy who's got a degree in business work at a carnival and say, step right up, everybody's a winner? That's what they're doing. That's what this guy's doing. Now, he probably has a real interest in the Holocaust. I'm not saying he doesn't have his grandmother, he's probably got a real interest in that. And he's probably made some really good documentaries about the Holocaust. He's probably sincere in that. And that's what makes it so fucking insane. Because he knows the truth about the Holocaust. He knows that 6 million or plus Jews were killed in the Holocaust. He knows that there were concentration camps. He knows it wasn't a few thousand Jews in confinement. Where Prabhupada says, they were just in jail and they got executed. Just like executing prisoners, like they deserved it. They were in jail and they got executed. No big deal. And then Prabhupada says in the Bhagavatam, he killed 1,000. He killed 1,000 here or there, whatever. No big deal. This guy. This guy, man. He's probably made, like I said, some sincere and probably good documentaries about the Holocaust because he was doing it as Joshua Green. You think he edited in any parts with Prabhupada saying, Hitler was a good guy? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine him going, hey, well, let's take a look at what my guru has to say about the Holocaust. And then they edit in Prabhupada talking and Prabhupada saying, hey, Hitler was a good guy. What do you guys think? Getting academic qualifications just to support and validate the ISKCON brand for sure. The actual books don't stand up to academic scrutiny. That's why ISKCON warns against such karmi thought. Yeah, that's why they probably really didn't want devotees going to college. That was not his plan for devotees to go to college. In fact, he didn't want anybody to go to college, really. He told a couple devotees that were in college that they could finish there and get their degree, and that would help them. And that would help them promote Krishna consciousness because they would have a master's degree or letters behind their name, a PhD or an MA or whatever it was. That's the only reason. Probably only wanted them to go to college so they could continue the scam. Just to continue the scam. Because Prabhupada knew, you go to college and you're going to learn the truth. It's not 5,000 years old. These books aren't 5,000 years old. There's no disciplic succession. Those people aren't real in that made-up line of people. Well, the names are real. It's just stories. There's no Vedic culture. There's no 5,000-year-old Vedic culture. Not the way Prabhupada once explains it. Yeah, there were some Stone Age people that were running around in India, but there were no friggin' flower airplanes and traveling between planets and atom bombs you could throw with your mind and all of this stuff that Prabhupada wants you to believe. And Kamsa and Kamsa's castle or fort and this and all of these, none of that. And you can't go and be a history, study religion at a college that's studying religion from a historical and archaeological and a sociological review. You can't just ignore facts. You can't go take a history of religion course and they just go, well, the book says, that it's 5,000 years old, so we're going to say it's no. How old is the oldest text? How old? Let's look at it realistically. This is a college. This is a degree. I'm trying to learn something here. I'm not trying to make stuff up, pass it off as real. This isn't The Hobbit. This isn't Lord of the Rings. This isn't Grimm's fairy tales. We want to know, when was the Bible written? When was the first written? How old is the first copy? How does it go back? How far back does it go? There's answers for that. Well, we got Dead Sea Scrolls, and they were found, and we believe that they were this. Well, what other than the Dead Sea Scrolls? What do you got? Well, we got one Bible relic that we have pieces of one that was found in Ethiopia in the year 200. That's the oldest Bible, or whatever it is. That's reality. Not some fairy tale that Abraham handed a book down to Daniel, and then Daniel passed it over to Solomon, and Solomon. No. I don't know. I don't think I ever told this story, but when I was in Vrindavan years ago with Yashodanandan, we were looking for this deity. The story of this deity, it's a Lord Varaha deity, and I was reading it out of this book. And it says that the deity was manifested from the mind of Lord Brahma. That Lord Brahma, millions of years ago, well, this was millions of years ago, because Lord Brahma manifested this deity from his mind. It was like, bing, it popped out of his head. Ding. And he gave it to Lord Rama. So Lord Rama lived 250 million years, however millions of years ago. Lord Rama gave the deity to Lakshman, his brother Lakshman. Lakshman took that deity with him when they went to Rishikesh, and he ended up giving that deity to, I don't know, somebody, Kardama Muni or somebody. I don't remember now, but it's just amazing. It's an amazing story. So it came out of Lord Brahma's brain, and then Lord Brahma gave it to Rama. Lord Rama gave it to Lakshman. Lakshman gave it to, I think Lakshman gave it to Kardama Muni. I'm not sure, but he gave it to somebody, and then that devotee had it and worshipped it, and he ended up taking it to Mathura, and then in Mathura, it ended up being worshipped by somebody, and it changed, and then it ended up in this temple that's behind the Dwarkadish temple in Mathura. You can go find. We went on. I said, I'm going to find this deity. When I read this story about it, I said, I'm going to find it. And Yashodanandan was like, yeah, well, let's go find it. So we set out one day, and we're going to find this deity. And so I had the book, and the book said, start at the Dwarkadish temple and walk backwards, up the street, go down 2 streets, hang a left. 2 streets down, hang a right, go down. And then you go down and hang another left, or hang a left, hang another right, whatever, something. And then go down, and then it said there's going to be 2 temples. 2 Varaha deities. One that's a black deity and one that's a white deity. And it's the white deity. So we went off and, we found it. We found this little temple. And we went in there. And there was this white Varaha deity sitting on a thing there. And we were like, oh, wow, there's this deity, wow, And Yashoda was like, wow, I can't believe Sri Mukunda found this deity. Because I think like halfway through the trek, he was like, I don't think we're going to find it. And I was like, no, we're going the right way. It said turn, and we turned, and said go here, and we went here. And he's like, yeah, I know, but it's hot, and I'm getting tired. and I don't know if we're gonna make it. And we were like in this little street, and and people are looking at us like who are you? Like nobody ever walks down this street. Like, what are these people doing down here? And I'm like, no, let's keep going. I didn't come all this way and then give up now. I mean, that's crazy. And he's like, no, I think we should just turn back. Let's just give up. And I was like, no, man, I'm gonna go. So this is like, and I was doing this a lot with him because he wants to be in control. These guys want to be in control. He wanted to be in control. So he's like, no, let's just go back. Let's just go back. I'm like, I'm not going back. I said, I came all this way, hiked, practically hiked. I mean, I feel like I'm really close. I'm not giving up now. And he was like, "Argh." And we walked like 2 doors down, like another 2 doors down, and there's this guy, this like temple guy standing there. Like he knew we were coming, like what else are we coming for, right? And he's like, come. And I'm like, is this the temple? And he's like, yeah, come. And so I was like to Yashoda, I'm like, hey, I found it, it's right here. And so he was like, okay, I'm coming. And we went in there and we were like, oh my God, here it is. And he was like, yeah. Oh, gave us some prashad and put a thing on it, did the whole thing. And over this fairy tale of Lord Brahma coming out of his brain, and then he gave it to Lord Rama, and Lord Rama gave it to Lakshman, and then Lakshman took it to Rishikesh, and then in Rishikesh he gave it to this guy, and then he gave it to somebody who took it to Mathura, and then it came here, and then went there, and it was a real magical mystery. And then we found it, the whole thing, the idea that we ended up finding. So it was like it was fun. But did it really come out of Brahma's brain? No, of course not. Did he really give it to Lord? No, of course not. None of that. None of that happened. None of that happened. But it's a nice story. It's fun. It's cute. It's whatever. Who cares? Where is the scientific evidence that these stories are true? They keep saying it's all backed up scientifically. 60 years later, now one scientist has studied this crap and has come up with the verdict. It's you bring up a good point. So they yell up and down that everything is scientific. It's signed the holy name and the 10 offenses and blah blah blah. But whenever it doesn't work, or a guru falls down or something, all that science gets, the scientificness gets thrown out the window. It's well, you were offensive, or you did something in your past life, or you weren't chanting right, you weren't saying it right, you weren't hearing it right, you did something that goes against the science. Like the science, it's scientific, the chanting is scientific, and the holy name is scientific, and it's scientific, but it doesn't always work, even though it's scientific. It just doesn't always work. And we can scientifically prove that it doesn't always work, because we have 10 offenses to the holy name. There's Guru Aparad, Vaishnav Aparad, all kinds of Aparad. Trivikram Swami is a great example that this does not work. Trivikram Swami is a great example that it doesn't work, because even someone who's been doing it for 60 years, he should know. The last person that should fall down are these gurus. It's, but this guy, this guy here, I want to get back to this guy. This Yogeshwar, I mean, this is a great example of how these guys are nothing but a scam. It's just a great big friggin' scam. It's just a great big friggin' scam. He's going to get on there. He's going to debate a renowned debater, someone who can, debates all kinds of religious people, can really present his arguments. He doesn't take any nonsense. And he really thinks he can go up against this guy because he reads Prabhupada's books. Meanwhile, not only do Prabhupada's books don't hold water against anybody who has even a shred of a good argument, not only do they not, hold water against that, this guy doesn't even know the details of this religion. He doesn't even know that this guy is a Holocaust denier. He doesn't know that Prabhupada's a woman hater, and he doesn't know that he was 11 years old. He had sex with 22 years when he was, that his wife was 11 when he had sex with her, and he was 22 years old. And that he says that black people are ugly and belong in the jungle, and that women, that you can smack them around a little bit, and there's 3 things you can beat: a dog, a drum, and a woman. And I can go on and on and on. This guy has no idea that this is what these people believe, and that there's a demon head eating the moon. We haven't even gotten to that part. There's a demon head eating the moon, and that the Earth is flat, and that there's elephants that keep it steady so it doesn't flip off. And there's a spaceman floating between planets playing a guitar, and that there's a kind of eagle that can fly between planets. And that there's an atom bomb that you can throw at someone with your brain. He has no idea that this is what he's getting into. He just wants to have a conversation about religion, like, do you believe in God? What is God to you? So like that. This guy, he's got no time for the insanity of this shit. That there's a guy playing a flute, and the sound goes into the ear of a 4-headed guy who's growing on a flower that grows out of the stomach of a 4. You think that this guy? You think that if you told him that and he said, this is what my belief, you think that this guy was going to be like, I'm not talking to you? I mean, like, come on. You're going to tell me that there's a 4-armed guy laying on a snake on an ocean of milk, and out of his stomach grows this flower with a guy growing on it with 4 heads? And I'm going to have, you believe that? You want me to have a debate? You want me to have a debate with you? It's bad enough I got to debate, people who think that a guy died on a cross and then he came back to life later, and that if I believe in him, he's going to take me, That's a much simpler story. And that one's kind of hard to, swallow. I missed some comments. Science is just used to give credibility. It's a word widely misused by ISKCON. Yeah, but this guy's not even talking science. He's talking Holocaust. This is history. This is another level of delusion. I mean, you can say, well, science can't explain how the sperm and the egg create the zygote, and then all, yeah, it's hard to explain exactly how that's happening through enzymes and electrical impulses and secretion, whatever, But come on, some of this other stuff that, come on, man. Prabhupada and this kind of attract a lot of kooky conspiratorial nuts. Many of them go down the Hitler Jews are destroying ISKCON rabbit hole. Yeah, it's that that's a good point. I'm gonna do a whole thing where we're just gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the conspiracy atmosphere within the Hare Krishnas, because they're a doomsday. It's a doomsday cult. I know a lot of you don't know this, but Hare Krishna is a doomsday cult. Prabhupada was a doomsdayer. He believed the world was going to end. It's in the scripture. Kali Yuga advances, and then everything collapses. Society collapses. It gets worse. We start eating each other, packs of dogs, packs of humans. It becomes like Mad Max. The atom bombs go off. It's twisted metal. The cities become uninhabitable. There's no food. The devotees are going to be living on their farms, and Varnashram is going to take over, and it's going to be 10,000 years of Lord Chaitanya's golden age. That is what Prabhupada says. That is doomsday. That's doomsday shit. These Hare Krishnas are waiting Kali Yuga is advancing, man. Kali Yuga is advancing. Look, now the gays can get married. That says Kali Yuga is advancing. Oh, well, the blacks have freedom. That's Kali Yuga is advancing because Prabhupada said they belong in the jungle and they shouldn't have civil rights. So now that Kali Yuga is advancing, and oh, the water is dirty and the air is dirty, and they had atom bombs, and look, and now all these countries are fighting. Kali Yuga is advancing, Prabhu. You better get your water and you better get all your stuff because Kali Yuga is advancing, Prabhu. And Prabhupada says, and you'll find that is a common that's a common philosophy in the Hare Krishnas because that's what Prabhupada says. So they believe it, and a lot of Hare Krishnas are doomsdayer, conspiracy theorists. The banks are going to end. The banks are going to end. Every day I would get an email from this nut in L.A. He had like this email list, and he would send these things about how the banks were going to fail any day now. By the end of the week, by Friday, by Monday. Get your money out of the bank by Friday because the banks are going to fail. Oh my God, the stock market's going to crash on Thursday. And it was just a constant barrage of every day. Every day, this is it. And he'd give reasons because this. If you follow the news, this is happening, and then this is going to happen, and then that's it. Everybody, it's over. And I would get that, and I knew from the very first one that the guy was nuts, and there ain't nothing going to happen. And sure enough, and it was going on for years. Every day, every other day, emails about the end of the world was coming by the end of the week. By the end of the week, 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 by the end of the week. And it was like insanity. Absolute insanity. I can't stress that enough. I just can't. I can't. Hey, Eliana. Oh man, I'm having issues with these titles here. Okay, how you doing? Good to see you, Kijai. Science in Riskon is called as meta pseudophysics. What is this? This is similar to Islamic dilemma about how the sperm came from the backbone and spine of man instead of his testes. I'm going to get back to that in a second. Sounds like demented Joshua Green is a wild card, greatest scammer guy. Yeah, he's living the best of both worlds. He can put on his educator hat. I'm a college educated Holocaust professor of Holocaust studies, and then I just take that off and I'll put on my Holocaust denier hat and say my guru, who never makes a mistakes, and everything he says is nectar, and everything he says is coming directly from Krishna, and everything he says is because look at all these books that I'm writing and all these things that I'm doing. He must be right about everything. He's got to be right about everything. He says, nah, Holocaust didn't happen. And the Jews were the bad guys, and Hitler was the good guy. Make that make sense. I don't understand how you make that make sense. But the only way it makes sense is that he's a scammer. The only way it makes sense is that he is scamming everybody. He's scamming the university to give him a degree when he hasn't learned shit. And he's scamming the devotee community by saying, hey, look, I went to college and I've got a degree. I'm smart. I know more than you. Look to me for guidance. I've been in it since 1970. I'm Yogeshwar. I was there with Prabhupada. I got all these credentials. Meanwhile, Prabhupada's a Holocaust denier, and he's a Holocaust expert, scholar. This is an incredible scam. This is just an incredible scam. It's made a pseudoscience, Prabhu. Prabhufraud said, Prabhufraud said, man, Prabhupada said Hitler was a good guy. So I'm going to make I'm going to be a Holocaust scholar and worship my guru while I'm making Holocaust movies. Demented Narayan Maharaj said that devotees would have to hide in caves to do their bhajan and that Muslims will take over the world. Don't make me agree with Narayan Maharaj. don't make me agree with him. But everybody wants to take over the world and make everybody follow their religion. Everybody wants to do that. That's why everybody's out spreading their religion. Don't make me agree with Narayan Maharaj, okay? I don't want to do that. But yeah, that's the Krishna cult is a doomsday cult. They believe the end of the world's coming. They believe that Kali Yuga is advancing and that everything's going to get worse. We're going to be eating each other. It's going to be like Mad Max. We're going to be fighting each other for gas and oil and food and air and whatever. And that the Hare Krishnas are going to be on their farms and defending it like Mad Max, I guess, with flamethrowers and whatever. I don't know. I don't know how that makes sense. But hey, Prabhupada said it. They believe it, and that's where we are. And that's where we are. But hey, I want to end it right here. I want to thank everybody for watching, man. I hope you learned something about Holocaust deniers. You learned something about Prabhupada and his Holocaust denying, and his love of Hitler, and how Hitler was a good man, and how Hitler didn't, Hitler wouldn't bomb anybody. Hitler wouldn't murder 6 million Jews and concentration camps all across Europe. Nah, he wouldn't. Nah. So I hope you learned something. I hope I showed you where you can go find that information. You can go find all kinds of stuff on the Vedabase.com. Anything you're looking for. You can find everything that he said about women, blacks, homosexuals, Negroes. If you want to know what he said about blacks, you got to look up Negroes. Okay, you can. If you type in blacks, it's not going to come up. You got to type in Negroes. Homosex. You got to type in homosex if you want to know what he says about homosexuals, because he doesn't really. Homosexuals will get you a few hits, but if you type in homosex, you'll get a million friggin' hits. You can find out what he had to say about your favorite devotee. You can type in Bhavananda. You can type in Kirtanananda. You can type in Jayatirtha. You can type in all these names and see what he actually had to say about these people. You can do all of that on your own. You don't have to take my word for it. Hey, I want to thank you guys for coming in and being part of the show today. I really do. I love all the feedback and learning all these things. And everybody have a great lunch, great morning, great afternoon, great evening, great everything. Please have some great luck too. And like, share, and subscribe to these videos. I really got to get these videos out to more people, because more and more people need to see them. And then, we can actually help people not get into the cult and actually help people get out. So I know a lot of you are watching, you're in the cult and you're checking it out. You want to see, because I can see how many people are watching. And I know you're in there. There's a lot more people watching than people that are on my side. So I know a lot of you out there are checking it out, and that's important. So we need to get out there so more people can see, and more people can find out what's really going on and find out the truth. So, yeah, hey, I think we all work together with this, and we all work together. We can do something. So, thanks again, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day, and please stay out of this cult, everybody. Okay, and of course, you got just for the fun of it, you got me as a Hare Krishna. Here we go.